Hi everybody, my name's Zen Christofi and welcome to our webinar today where we'll be discussing investment strategies and research of one of our top states across the country, leading the sector with capital growth prices and also rental yields across the country. So I'm very pleased today to be joined by my co-host and brother and CEO of Reventon Investments and our very own investment analyst on the ground in WA, Andrew Clements. So thank you both for joining us today. Chris, come over here so the audience can see you, my friend.
Hello, welcome. Thanks.
Excellent. So just in relation to a bit of housekeeping and some topics that we'll be discussing today, we'll be talking for approximately 30 minutes. We're going to be going through some client case studies. We'll talk a little bit about the Western Australian property market, key infrastructure projects that are happening in WA. We'll also talk a little bit about a market analysis as well, which we'll have Andrew go through towards the end of the presentation. So we will have some time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So if you guys just want to get into the chat box, we can address as many questions as we possibly can. But again, if we don't get to all the questions, we will endeavour to get back to you via email or booking a discovery session with us, and we'll make sure that we address all of those questions as well. So just firstly to touch on myself and a little bit about my experience in the industry. So started back in the early 2000s with my investment journey and got involved in property and real estate early 2005 when I got involved in property and finance. So going out and talking to people about investment strategies, wealth creation, and all of the above when it comes to property investment. So I'll pass over to my brother and CEO of Reventon Investments. But just before I do that, Chris, welcome aboard. Really happy to have you on our webinar today. And I know we've done a podcast together previously, but to be able to stand here with you today and talk to our potential clients and people listening into the webinar about, I suppose, what we've been able to do with our clients, not only with Reventon's organisation, but also with the company that I ran for just short of 20 years. I don't think there's too many combinations across the country that can boast to have helped over 5,000 Australian families with their investment journey and being able to help people get into the property market, which is something that I know both you and I are quite proud of, and to have the longevity in the industry that we've had has been something that's been, I suppose, a bit of a testament to our work ethics and what we've been able to do. I believe has been fantastic. So without further ado, welcome, Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Jen, for that warm welcome. And of course, real estate's been in our family and our background, and it's something that we're very, very proud of. To be able to share that experience of just under 50 years and to be able to help 5,000 people get into the property market is something that we're super, super proud of. And just to go over a bit of our accolades and experience and the reason we do what we do, obviously, to have the opportunity to feature in over 50 publications, to win 30 industry awards, to write a book, Your Path to Wealth, which is an Amazon bestseller, which I'll invite you guys to buy. 100% of the money for that book goes to charity. But the purpose to why we do it, and we're going to share some of our case studies, is some amazing success stories, and to have over 200 5-star Google reviews is something that we're very, very proud of. To be able to help our clients get into the property market. And where we're showing you today is an amazing emerging market, but 20% of our sales in this area have also been sold to myself, our team, and our family members because it is such a strong market. And one thing that does really point Reventon now is we do invest where we tell our clients to invest. We put a ton of research behind it for it to become a Reventon approved property. We do independent research, and we have amazing people on the ground like Andrew Clements, who you're going to hear from a little bit later, to why it's such an emerging market, to why it's a good time to get into the Perth market and consider. And at the end of the presentation, I will invite you to have a free, no obligation chat with Zen and his friendly team and our team at Reventon to see exactly how we can put something in place for you, how you can maximize your capital growth and opportunities as well. But more importantly, And the reason we do what we do is to give our clients great success, minimizing their tax, building their wealth, and helping them create, build, and protect their wealth for now and generations to come. I'm about to share with you a story now.
Just before you do that, Chris, just to touch on a few things that you did speak about. I suppose the importance of research and data, having someone like Andrew, who's an expert in the field on the ground in WA, has been very important for the organisation in relation to where we're coaching our prospective clients to look into. But the fact that we've actually been there with the sales team over the course of the last probably 18 months when we started our research in the state of WA, to be on the ground, talking to land developers, different meetings with different builders, has been really important for us. It's been really important for the knowledge of our sales team, and it's been something that we've been able to relay to prospective purchasers, and it's something that we're obviously really proud of. Not only the data and research that we've done, but also being on the ground and being able to see what's going on in WA and have a look at. There's always upcoming projects coming up, whether that's government spending, whether it's private infrastructure going in, but to actually be on the ground, talking to different retailers, talking to different investment analysts like Andrew, who we've been working really closely with over the course of the last 18 months, that knowledge has been very powerful for us. And just to, before you do touch on some of the case studies, just to speak a little bit about what we've been able to do in WA. So we started our research around about 18 months ago in WA. We did probably about 3 to 6 months of research before we actually headed out there. Andrew was obviously on the ground, so doing a lot of that research as well for us and assisting us with that. But in the short period that we've been in WA, we've seen clients that have seen some substantial growth already in that period of time. And we've already got some fantastic success stories in WA, and we would predict that we would continue doing that. And over the course of the next 3 years, a lot of property analysts are predicting that growth cycles in WA will exceed most states in Australia, and the rental yields just increasing there. So to have the rental yields at around about 6 to 7% is something that there's not many states in Australia that can boast yields of that. So I just wanted to touch on that before you went over some of the case studies. I know you wanted to talk about some of the clients that you've been able to assist, and I'll also touch on a few of the clients that I've assisted in my time in the industry as well. So we're just going to share our screen now, Chris, and we can just touch.
Before we do that, I'd like to talk about obviously the research, and it's very, very important to be data driven. And at Reventon, we actually look at the existing why things are going to grow: population, infrastructure, employment, how diverse is it? And we look at emerging markets, because if you look at a market that's boomed and really grown, usually you're too late. So we've done a lot of research, obviously, and we've put a lot of our sales through great people, great builders, great developers, which is thanks to Andrew, people like Andrew. But prior to that, we've been looking at areas like Geelong, Ballarat. For over 10 years, we've put our clients in there. And to find that sweet spot that has a great rental yield, maximum tax savings, and capital growth, to hit all three is very, very difficult. And now we've found the new emerging market is WA, which offers, so the examples that we're going to give you is backed with the same research. But the most important thing that I'd like to add, and the question I say, wouldn't you want your investment team to be on the ground and understand exactly the market and give you strong data? So we have done all that work, and we've got a formula that works, which is also, we wrote about the Reventon formula to why the forward indicators will show a strong investment opportunity, which is what Perth is presenting now.
200 5-star Google reviews, Chris, with the organisation as well, obviously talks volumes about what our clients are talking about with us, and the service that we've been able to provide to them as well. And we will, at some stage through the presentation, show you a few of those reviews so you can get a bit of an understanding for not just myself, Andrew, and Chris in relation to why clients are talking to Reventon in relation to investment advice, but let's hear from what the clients have got to say about that.
Of course.
We'll do that shortly as well.
So the client story that we're about to share with you now, I remember this client personally. Yep. Came to us, had a mortgage, wanted to get into the investment journey, didn't know where to start. Now, they bought their first investment property. Fast forward 7 years, they've bought over 5 properties now. And some of the things they've been able to achieve is close to $700,000 in capital growth on a single income, that was, not knowing where to start, to buying not one but two, but over 5 properties, to being the top % of property investors in Australia that own multiple properties, over 3 dwellings. And more importantly, to have their home debt free. And yeah, to purchase in multiple areas, because it's a formula that we use, backed with research, as we said, which is now looking at a new area, which Andrew's going to touch on a bit before. And to be able to buy 5 investment properties is something that we're very, very proud of at Reventon. So this is the next story that we're going to share, a client success story. Funny enough, it's a brother and sister combination.
Fantastic. So this, Chris, is a client of mine that I met back in 2010. So ran a small business, came to us about building their wealth, a different understanding towards what they're hoping to achieve, building some capital growth towards their retirement, some tax savings, and wanted, I suppose, someone to talk to them about a strategy of how they can put that in place. So it was a brother and sister combination when they first time investors. So in the time that they've started investing with us, in total now have purchased 5 investment properties. And those 5 investment properties have a total uplift of approximately $1 million. Okay, but what something else which is key to note is over that period of time, the clients have saved approximately $450,000 in tax savings. So that is a significant amount of money that they were able to get back from the Australian Taxation Office. Obviously, understanding how gearing works is very important when it comes to investments. Again, that's one of the case studies that we really wanted to touch on. So I'll just go through now a little bit of a overview about Western Australia, and we'll hand over to our Western Australian analyst shortly. So just to touch on, I suppose, a quick overview. But before we do that, we'll just have a bit of a look at, Chris, what the clients are actually saying about us. So let's test some of those Google reviews, and let's see how we're going there. We'll also test our tech savviness, Chris. So let's see how
we might be in trouble there.
Everybody's friendly, professional, and it's like a second home for me.
That made life so much easier for us, where we didn't have to worry about anything.
We don't know the property market as well. I'd rather, do it right with the help of Reventon than doing a poor job.
The most important aspect for me is to be able to have someone that I trust. That was the reason I invested with Reventon.
They've helped all the way through, and they've been open. They're not trying to push everything on us.
It gives me a lot of happiness, to be honest. It makes me feel like I've got more control over what I'm doing.
I would definitely recommend Reventon to anyone that I come across. This is a very professional company that will help you to grow your wealth and to plan for your future.
Also having the peace of mind that Reventon does everything for me.
It's nice to see them and know that they're actually buying properties as well. So it's not just them trying to push properties onto us.
I'm really excited. I'm very happy to see it. I wouldn't hesitate moving in here myself.
The experience has been nothing but positive, and the good thing is that when I say that I need to be contacted or follow up, they always do that, which is important for me.
From start to finish, it was a set process. If you had a question, if the person you spoke to didn't know it, they'll get the answer for you.
It's not just a sale and then they forget about me. The after-sale service has been wonderful. They always keep me updated, so that's great.
I'm very grateful for everything that Reventon has done for me, and I think I certainly can say a lot of good things about it because the experience is exceptional.
And it's a no-brainer for me.
I don't do this sort of stuff often, preach about other businesses and that. This is something that I thought I need to get out and say, this is a good formula, this works. If you can do it, get out there, give Reventon a call, get them to help you like they've helped us.
Yeah, absolutely stoked to see that. And I guess fully integrating all of our services to ensure that we can make it a seamless process. The first part starts with a chat to get a strategy session in place, but to ensure that we can actually help you with your finance, your property management, your accounting, your financial planning lead really does make it a one-stop solution for our clients, and which is why our clients are quite happy to purchase the property, go through their journey, come to their 6-month reviews and go from there. But more importantly, what people want to know is, why is WA a good investment? Why are we so excited about it? And why is there great forward indicators then?
Okay, so let's just run through a little bit of some data that we've been able to collate, Chris. So population in WA at the moment is 2.79 million, and the goal by 2050 is for that to increase to 3.5 million. So over 700,000 people moving into the state of WA. That is a significant amount of new people moving, migrating to WA, not only internationally, but also from other states across the country. Some of the key projects, so 25% growth over that period of time is phenomenal. And I suppose when it comes to the demand, and I'm sure Andrew will touch on that shortly as well when we have a bit of a chat with Andrew, the demand for housing will just increase. So there are some key infrastructure projects that are going into WA, and we are going to discuss a few of those today. So the government's investing over $27 billion into WA with more than 1,430 infrastructure projects. So it's extensive private sector pipeline, and also dedicated to resources, the resource projects in WA as well. So obviously a huge amount of infrastructure going in there as well. So without further ado, I know Chris, yourself and I have had the mic for a bit of time. I think maybe we give Andrew a bit of me time, and just to touch base, touch on some of Andrew's qualifications and the reason to why we've been able to engage Andrew's services as well. Apart from being on the ground in WA, he has an extensive experience and a wealth of knowledge when it comes to real estate, been in the industry for over a decade as well. So to be talking to people like Andrew has been really important for us, and also important for our clients when we're placing them into projects like WA. So Andrew actually has a performance forecasting and is a performance forecaster and a feasibility analyst. He has a Bachelor in Commerce, so a HR in marketing, a postgraduate diploma in property. He also has an MBA, so a Masters of Business Administration, and an REIWA real estate agent. So when it comes to diplomas, Chris, I think he's got us both covered in that sense.
I think most people have us both covered in any sense when it comes to diplomas, but more importantly, he understands and he reads data, he's on the ground and really gets it. So without further ado, Andrew, welcome. Thank you for being on the podcast, mate.
I think based on what you said previously, Chris, it's a perfect lead in as to why we should invest in WA. So major job shortages, low cost of living, and advantageous lifestyle benefits have forecast over 30,000 interstate residents and 500,000 international residents over the next 7 years. So as it currently sits in WA, there is a housing crisis. We have a shortage of 28,500 homes. And that doesn't even take into consideration, our FIFO workforce, for example, in which case we need 40,000 staff before the end of the year. So in order to keep up with population growth, we need 19,500 homes. The actual vacancy rate in WA is the lowest in any across all states at 0.05%. The median rent went up approximately $100 per week last year. And a recent report from Brendan Rinn from KPMG, he's the chief analyst over there, has forecast WA to continue that momentum across 2024 and will more than double the capital growth in every other state at 9.4%. So I suppose we'll just jump into some of the points that we've mentioned over here. So with regards to employment, Perth's unemployment rate's lower than the national average. Its employment landscape's consistently shown resilience and growth. Obviously, a lower unemployment rate than the national average means a stable economy and thriving workforce. For real estate investors, this essentially translates to a reliable tenant base. Many people are looking for homes closer to their workplaces. And that's, I suppose, all of the development and infrastructure that WA is spending at the moment is connecting these new land developments land developments to key employment hubs. So I mentioned the fly-in, fly-out arena previously, but in addition to the fly-in, fly-out workforce, there's also a number of employment hubs, a number of other economies that pumps up as well, transport and logistics, retail, etc. So all of the macro and micro impactors that influence short-term growth within the segments, we certainly analyse and look at and ensure that they're next to and nearby key employment hubs. In terms of affordability, I've got some data over here. So Perth's currently experiencing, Perth's average cost of dwelling per square metre is substantially lower than other states in WA. Sydney, you're looking at purchasing land at an average of $2,500 per square metre, whereas Melbourne's around $1,000. Perth is just a fraction of that at $615. So it provides an excellent opportunity for investors to get into the rental market at significant and achieve significant rental yields. So affordability is certainly there. In terms of tourism, the WA government's removed a lot of the red tape associated with international students. So as a result, in addition to that, actually, WA is also being classified as regional in terms of international students and study. So a lot of international students are now coming to WA. The visa red tape's been removed, and it's set to attract over 3 million domestic and international visitors in addition to that.
Just to touch base on that as well, Andrew, just some statistics that came in with us shortly. So net migration in March 2023, in the past 12 months, has been the highest on record over the last 20 years. So again, obviously fantastic news for Australia as well, and real estate in Australia.
And we're looking at obviously a few indicators, and we always talk about things important: growth, population, infrastructure, employment, and diversity of employment. And just looking at all these reasons to why Perth is so strong is why it's presenting such a good opportunity for our investors.
Yeah, and that goes without saying, even with the economic growth and strength in WA. I mean, whilst we only have 10% of the nation's population, we produce 50% of the nation's GDP. So, like I said previously, major job shortages here. We need more staff, more people to relocate to WA. Unfortunately, there's nowhere to put them. And then with regards to exports, so Perth serves as a gateway to Asian markets with billions of dollars of exports annually. Its strategic location positions it as Australia's frontline to booming Asian markets. The city's robust export sector, particularly in mining and agriculture, drives economic growth and fosters international relations. So for real estate investors, this essentially means a consistent influx of professionals and businesses looking to tap into these markets, further pushing the demand for residential and commercial properties. And then, of course, finally, we've got the resources and energy sector. So for this, Perth's the gateway to WA's vast mineral wealth, home to substantial mining operations and energy projects. The resources sector boosts the state's economy, attracts international businesses, employs a significant percentage of the local workforce. So the inflow of professionals and their families to Perth ensures steady demand for housing. And for real estate investors, essentially translates into properties that are within close proximity to these hubs, like I was mentioning earlier, can be particularly lucrative.
Well, thanks for that, Andrew. And obviously, let me go across.
Just in relation to the Perth market analysis, Andrew, if I could just get you to touch base on some of the statistics that you've been able to put together for us over there that we've been talking to our clients about.
So as I was alluding to earlier, the median rents have increased about $100 per week on average. Another key statistic is traditionally homes in Australia will double in value every 20 to 25 years. I think it's 24 is the average across Melbourne currently. In WA, the median house price is forecasted to double within the next 12 years. So that just gives you an idea of how strong Perth's market is. And certainly investor sentiment is high due to investors taking advantage of the low entry level point, high rental yields, and strong return on investment. The median dwelling growth previously was last financial year was 24.5%. With all these key indicators, Perth certainly is a strong investment proposition to a lot of investors. And what we also look at as well as not just the local infrastructure and developments that are happening within close proximity to the segments. We also look at medium and long-term impactors prior to providing our clients with the investment proposals. So medium impactors are generally observed at a national level. Obviously, the Australian economy is booming at the moment. Unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been. Interest rates have halted, which has boosted investor confidence. And then long-term impactors are generally observed at an international level. So trade, as I was alluding to earlier, it certainly is very, very strong at the moment. And then prior to obviously me submitting an investment package to the sales team over there, I obviously do a very comprehensive and thorough investment analysis. These things include things like OLS regression analysis, which is a statistical-based valuation that takes into consideration recent sales within that segmented market. I then apply a histogram to ensure that we get rid of any outlying data. And subsequent to that, I run the regression formula. And the regression formula essentially gives us what's called a coefficient. And based off that coefficient, I'm able to forecast where the client is best spending their money, and how strong their capital growth is, provide comparative market analysis and a third-party rental appraisal. So you can rest assured that the client's rental forecasts are spot on and in line with the market. So that's just some of the things that I do to ensure that the clients are entering a property that is going to provide them with not only strong rental yields, but long-term capital growth also.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Andrew. Really appreciate that. Chris?
Well, I guess would like to talk a lot more, but unfortunately time doesn't permit. So we said we'll stick to 30 minutes. Now, there was a lot of the questions come through. We'll email everybody the responses and the answers. But everything that Andrew said obviously was fantastic. There's a lot of work that goes in. But before that happens, I'd like to invite you to have a personal one-on-one with Zen, and he can sit down with you to come up with a strategy session to see what's going to work best for you. And for those of you who are willing to take charge of your financial future today and make an appointment, we've got some great incentives for you to do so. The developer, along with ourselves, is going to put an incentive of a $4,500 air condition for free, plus a discounted pack, discounted by $4,400. If you take action today, you'll receive a discount and products valued at $8,900 just to book a free, no obligation consultation with Zen to go over exactly what your tax position is, how quick you can pay off your mortgage, what's a safe amount for you to look and consider, and what area will best suit you, so we can obviously see, is Perth the market based on your borrowing capacity, which in most cases our clients, 80% of our clients are going to that market now because it's very, very affordable. And another statistic which we haven't mentioned, 20% of our sales in that market were to our existing staff and our family members because it's such a strong market.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. And Andrew, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate the information that you were able to go through with us. I'm going to stop sharing our screen at the moment, and maybe some questions coming through. We'll do our best to address a couple of those questions. And as Chris was saying, we will get back, if we're unable to get back to you with the Q&A at the moment, we will endeavour to get back to everybody via email or phone call, and we'll have a bit of a chat. But as Chris was saying, booking in a discovery meeting is obviously a great opportunity to sit down with people that are experts in an industry, people that have been working within an organisation for a number of years and have seen a number of different cycles across the country, not just here in Victoria where we're located, Chris, but also across the country where we've been had a strong focus.
I think that's a very, very important point tonight. With over 50 years, we've seen many cycles. We've seen hot markets, we've seen emerging markets, and we know the forward indicators. So scan the barcode below, have your free consultation and to work out exactly, is this something that you feel will work for yourself and your family?
Let's just stop sharing here and see if we've got any questions coming through.
We do, but as Zen said before, tech is definitely not our strong suit. Real estate, any other suburbs other than WA at the moment? So that's a great question. We do always have a few options, but right now, as I mentioned before, WA is where we're focusing most of our sales because it's such a strong market. It has such a good story, and that's where we're personally investing as well. Yep.
And I believe, Andrew, you had a question come through as well. So if you just want to talk to that, that would be great.
Came through is build versus buying an established home. So obviously we can talk about this for hours on end, but I suppose I'll just touch on the key selling points with regards to building and why I personally build as opposed to buy established. Firstly, they tend to be a lot cheaper than buying an established home. There's data here, BMT data shows that new properties claimed an average of $15,000 in depreciation over the first financial year. Whereas an established home, you can expect a significant reduction. So $288 for per week for a new home, as opposed to only $75 per week with an established home. The other things are obsolescence, and I'll be very quick. I could talk about this for a long time, but geographical obsolescence essentially refers to the fact that newer developments are developed in better located areas. They're within close proximity to key arterial roads, key employment hubs, train lines, shopping centres, entertainment precincts, and all the new hospitals that are currently under development, which is in the slide previously. So these new developments are coming communities now as opposed to just suburbs. And oftentimes you'll notice that there's parks within 200 metres of every home, and it's a real community environment. Renters obviously love that proposition as well. Entering a brand new home is a lot more attractive proposition to them, and we're seeing on average rents above $100 per week over the asking price on realestate.com.
Such a high demand, I guess, for that real estate. And obviously the walk score to all this amenity makes it so much easier for the property to rent and so much more appealing to the tenants.
100%, yeah. And then we've also got physical obsolescence, which refers to things that can't be avoided from general upkeep and maintenance. For example, you could have the best tenant in the world that looks after the house, but if you have an established home, you'll have to attend to things like roof leaks, plumbing leaks, etc., etc. And that refers to the physical obsolescence. And then the final type of obsolescence really is. Give me a second here. I've got it. So structural obsolescence. So these new developments here have favourable R codes. So, for example, in Baldivis, RMD codes allow us to build a much higher plot ratio. So, first-time investors or investors that don't quite have a huge borrowing capacity can enter the WA market for as little as say $550,000. They're able to build a 4x2, which is able to achieve a rent upwards of $750. Additionally, though, not only can the house be bigger, but they've been designed in a way to make the most efficient use of floor space, and they've been built to 6-star energy ratings. And finally, they've got a lifetime structural guarantee, so you won't walk into any of those out-of-pocket expenses that are associated with buying an established home.
Fantastic. And Andrew, just got another question come through from a viewer, just in relation to obviously construction costs and rising costs with construction and labour. The concern is who are some of the organisations that we're working with? What are some of the measures that we have in place to make sure that we are not looking at those huge rising costs when it comes to labour, materials, and so on and so forth. So if you could just touch on that. Obviously, you've got a strong relationship with builders on the ground there in WA. So you could talk about some of those benefits with some of the builders that you're working with.
Yeah, 100%. So when you mention things like that, I mean, the only reason I suppose people would look at buying an established home in this market is the uncertainty around build times. You hear it all over the news, builders going under, building delays, costs increase, substantial price increases. But again, I suppose that's a benefit of having someone on the ground in WA. So what I've been able to do is form key partnerships with land developers, key partnerships with builders. So And I do a lot of due diligence prior to recommending a builder for our clients. I have aligned myself with one builder in particular. The builder is a multinational Fortune 500 company. They've got a very diverse investment portfolio. So they're in Mazda, Daikin air conditioning. So if there's ever a downturn within the construction arena or increase in building prices, our clients don't feel that pinch. But more importantly, we're able to execute contracts within 2 weeks of the client signing up. Slab is an unbelievable 2 days after settlement in most cases, and build times 9 months. 9 months.
So these things are unheard of, Andrew. And sorry to interject there, but it's just obviously having those strong relationships. It's never been more important to have the right team of people behind you, or the right builders with the right backing and the right, obviously, finances behind them, because it really makes that process a lot more streamlined and a lot more solid. So having those builders behind you gives you a lot of confidence to be able to refer those products to ourselves and then to us, to our clients as well.
And Andrew, how are you finding titles? I know that's another concern for a lot of people when they're looking at investments, with titles pushing out.
So basically, time frames you're referring to, obviously.
So how have you been finding that with the land developers that you've been working alongside with?
Again, it's another strength of having someone physically on the ground in WA, because a lot of my days are spent establishing and maintaining relationships with key stakeholders at our major land developers. So essentially, we're actually able to obtain exclusive land for Reventon clients only. So because of all the unique selling points of Reventon, how long the company's been around, the professional backing, or the financial services that you provide, land developers, what I found, want to deal with you specifically. And it's transparent, because they'll give us exclusive blocks, and they'll give us these exclusive blocks for your client. I mean, there's just an example. I don't want to breach any confidentiality, so I won't mention the client's name, but would have been 2 or 3 months ago, Mr. and Mrs. N. We'll just refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. N. So I was able to obtain a lot for them, $45,000 under market value. Now, if we were to do a summation valuation, which essentially takes into consideration the cost of land plus improvements, that construction hasn't commenced yet. I believe settlement's happening next month, and we've already got a slab forecast date for them as well. But that particular client is already sitting on $70,000 to $80,000 in capital uplift in equity, and
I guess I guess these are like amazing stories, Andrew. But it all obviously comes down to making that appointment, having a chat to one of our team members here, to start that process going. Because I wish we could get everyone off that uplift of 45, but we are fortunate to have these sort of relationships that we can offer that opportunity to people.
Excellent. So we could probably be here for another 30 minutes if we went through all of the questions that we had, Chris. But as we were saying previously, if we didn't get to some of the questions, which we do apologise for, if you want to send an email across, we'll endeavour to get back to you as soon as possible. I just want to thank you, Chris, for your time, and Andrew, obviously, for the time and effort that you've had in putting together the presentation for us as well, and obviously what you do for us on the ground as well. So again, just to reiterate on what Chris was saying, a no obligation assessment of your finances is never a bad thing. So please get in contact with us. We'll arrange a free strategy session with either myself or one of our sales team here at Reventon. We're looking forward to seeing you in the future, and we hope to help you build some more wealth towards your retirement, and really give you some insights to our learnings over the past 50 years. I believe there's been a few.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, Andrew, for your time. Zen, we look forward to working with you. Have an amazing day.
We'll see you soon, Andrew.
Thanks, gents.
Bye.
Thanks to all our guests for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.
Stay tuned. Thank you.
Bye-bye.